Felicitations! It is me, Felicia Day, and this is my podcast. Welcome! I am doing this podcast every other week now, if you've noticed, because I want to make sure I have enough to talk about. I don't want to be boring. I don't want to talk about how little sleep I have gotten. But, fun fact, a big story this week is how I realized I have a sleeping disorder of some such kind, which is really an anxiety disorder, and I think I already talked about it before, but I did go to the doctor, and I got my thyroid checked, and I got my vitamin D level checked, and I got a bunch of panels for blood and all this stuff, because basically he was like, you don't look good, and you obviously are not functioning well. It was on one of those days I literally could not get any sleep, and the fun part about it was that I went and did Vancouver Fan Expo this weekend, a convention, last one of the year. I'm actually a little sad about it because I've had a really good time this year, going to conventions, meeting people, seeing my friends in front of and behind the screen. It's been a really good year. I felt like I got my groove back, and going to conventions really inspired me to get a couple of the projects I'm working on right now that I can't talk about, but I'm really excited about. So that was good. But the fun part is that I was sleeping so badly last week that I was like, well, I'm sad about going away from home, but at least I'm going to get sleep. Guess what? Didn't get sleep. I went to the airport, and I had like a 5:45 flight, and I get there in plenty of time because I would rather be 4 hours early than 1 minute late. Okay, that's just me. I sit in the car just waiting for things to start, maybe up to an hour. I'd rather be there an hour than a minute late. Anyway, so that's just me. And so I got there early, and then suddenly they delayed the flight. Now, this is a good story because I went up to the person, and I was like, hey, they just delayed my flight almost 2 hours. And I was already so strung out at this point because I was so tired. I was like, ugh. And without even talking, the gentleman took my ticket and changed me to another flight that left at 6:30. I was like, oh my God, this is how an airline should work. Thank you, Air Canada. Thank you even more, Air Canada, because guess what? I was connected. So I guess I was signed up for the text messages for the other flight that was delayed. So I got on the flight before the flight that I was supposed to take off earlier than mine flight took off. Does that make sense? I was supposed to leave at 5:45, and then I got on a 6:30 flight, or a 6:50, or something like that. And then that flight that I was originally on was supposed to leave at 7:35. Guess what? When I landed in Vancouver at like 9:30 or something, I got like 12 updates about that flight being delayed even more and more and more. And I'm not kidding. By the next morning, that flight did not leave Los Angeles until 1:35 a.m., guys. Can you believe that? How could a flight be delayed that many? I'm sorry. It was going to land at 1:35. So it left at like, no. It left at 11:35 and was going to land at 2:35 or something like that. Crazy. So, okay. Sometimes you think, wow, my life is like, I'm in a low point. It can get lower. It can always get lower. And just God bless that guy who got me on the different flight. And God bless me. Whatever. Just bless me because I usually don't question things. I'm like, well, that happened. Got to put up with it. But I was bold enough to go up and ask the person, hey, what's the deal with this? And therefore, life rewarded me. Or just this one dude, okay? So thank you to that one dude who may be personified as a deity in my eyes. Thank you, Air Canada. So anyway, I got to Vancouver, and I love Vancouver. And I love Vancouver. But I didn't get to see it because I landed so late. I didn't get to the hotel until 11. I was so tired. I went to sleep. And I woke up at 5:30 a.m. And guess what? I was awake. I laid there for another 2.5 hours, which now that I'm doing a little research, I should have just gotten off my butt and just gotten out of bed and read a book or something. I'm going to do that from now on. I literally read an article today that said, if you are in bed more than 20 minutes without going to sleep, which, hello, that's basically every night of my life. But okay, let's barring that. If you can't get to sleep after 20 or 30 minutes, get up and go and do something until you're tired. It will actually help you reset your clock better because you'll get better sleep. You're not training your mind to think about, just don't do anything in your bed except sleep. Don't read books or watch TV in bed. That's all I'm saying. Don't even go into it. So so I was like, I got 5 hours, 5.5 hours. I was like, wow, this is the most I've gotten in 2 weeks. This is great. Felt good all day, met a lot of awesome people at the con. I met, before I go into that. So next day, that night, Saturday night, I go to bed, and I am not kidding, guys. I'm having such an anxiety attack that I went to sleep at 9:30, woke up at 12:30, could not go to sleep again until the next day. I'm serious, you guys. I could not get back to sleep. I've never had insomnia like that. I think I was having a panic attack because I was away from the baby. I had gone to Dragon Con. That was the only other time I've ever been away from the baby. And I think, I don't know, Dragon Con, for some reason, I guess I slept okay there. But I think I took Benadryl. I did not have any Benadryl. Don't abuse Benadryl. That is not me endorsing Benadryl as a sleep aid. But, so I slept 3 hours, but it was the most frustrating thing, you guys. I'm sure all of you has experienced insomnia, but that was, it's one thing to not get to sleep until 3 and then sleep until 6:30 or something, but to have 8 hours of nighttime, and I didn't want to turn the TV on, which would have been awesome because I would have watched more TV than I have in weeks in an 8-hour chunk. No, because I didn't want to watching TV or reading a computer or your phone, that light just wakes you up more. So I was like, well, don't do that. And then I listened to meditation tape no less than 4 times over the course of 8 hours. I got up, and for the first time in my life, I took a small bottle of alcohol from the mini fridge because at 3:30 a.m., I'm like, I don't know, whiskey maybe? And so I didn't have a physical book with me, so I got in the bathtub. I drank half a bottle of Macallan's something cask whiskey. I mean, it was a half a tiny bottle, guys, like a room service bottle. And I read the local, the hotel magazine, which had a lot about Indian classical dance, which was fascinating. But I would have thought, hey, this is going to put you to sleep. Went back to bed. No, I think I might have slept, fallen asleep for a half hour and then boom, awake again. I've never been more angry. And I think maybe the anger just fueled my lack of being able to sleep. Anyway, hopefully you're listening to this and that made you go to sleep. All right. At the Vancouver Comic-Con, I walk in. Who's there? Wil Wheaton. I didn't know he was going to be there. So that was fun. I got to hang out with him a lot. He's doing great. Lots of really cool projects he's working on. I miss it, guys. I miss working with him. I miss working with a lot of my friends. I did the mature thing to just kind of try to cut off the things I don't have to do in this life so I can spend more time with my kid and work on my creative projects, which I have delayed doing for 5-6 years now. And I am happier in some respects, but then I miss that sort of let's make a video, let's work with my friends, let's call friends to come in and be in a video. I really miss it in a certain way. But if I had it back, I know I would go crazy because I'm already going crazy. Right before I started this podcast, I've been having an anxiety attack for the last 3 hours because I have a writing problem I don't know how to solve. And of course, I catastrophize things where I'm like, I'll never solve it. It's going to be crap. You're making crap. You might as well tear up everything you've done. You're terrible. It's never going to turn out good. And then my whole career to go down the grade. Literally because I have one writing problem. But that's what I get. That's how I get when I'm writing. So I'm not a happy writer. At least I don't drink alcohol normally. Certainly not at home. But so that anxiety spreads to the baby. I'm trying to wean her, you guys. Woohoo! I just decided last week, I don't know what it was. It might be hormones, it might be whatever, but I have to sleep. And her waking up in the morning wanting to drink milk at 5:30 or 6 is really killing me because I get my REM sleep between 5 and 7. Hello, I haven't gotten REM sleep in months, but anyway. So, it's time. She's 21 months, you guys. My breasts have done their duty. They are done. And I could tell the less I'm feeding her, the more my head is unfoggy. And so I've decided, it doesn't feel good because it's not her choice. And I've let her kind of lead her whole life up until now. I never forced, I never let her cry it out. I mean, she cries and sometimes I let her do that. I tell her I'm understanding that she's letting me know her feelings, but she has to do something. That's, the sort of wry Janet Lansbury type parenting that I adhere to. But with for my own health, and my own mental and physical well-being, because I can see my body breaking down too. I've just got to wean her, and that means I can't put her to sleep at night time because she likes to nurse to sleep. So we're talking about a lot about cow milk and how my boobies go to sleep at night now, and she's obviously going through a lot emotionally because of that. I still nurse her in the morning, and I'm going to stop that one last in a couple weeks. And so it's hard for her to deal with, especially she likes to lay next to me and go to sleep. And so she just screams in a way and screams mama over and over again. Guys, this does not get easier. The more of a person she is, the less I want to be away from her. And I'm feeling guilty that I have a nanny watching her now. I don't know. I'm going through a lot of guilt right now. And I don't know if that's part and parcel with doing the creative work that I'm doing now, or just it's a phase because she's really becoming a person. So I guess I'll see, because she's not going to be any less than a person going forward. So, all right, that's enough mom stuff. Except one of the questions I'm going to answer is about mom stuff. Anyway, listen, you're going to listen to, I got what I got. If you don't want any mom stuff, like, it's going to be a short podcast. So I also made the mistake last night of going on Twitter before bedtime. And it is dark, guys. I don't know. It's a dark, dark time. I have figured it out a little bit. Okay, so basically I read Twitter last night. I could not sleep. I had to take a Benadryl. And now I'm a Benadryl addict. So I've taken it twice this week. That's it. And I'm going to cut myself out completely. But here's the thing. The world is not right. And I guess we have this sense that TV shows and movies and books, they all tell us that good will prevail and evil cannot win, and corruption is going to be held accountable. And I don't know. I'm feeling very disenchanted with the world. I guess that's what at the heart of it. Not only about, especially, I think it's all started with the children and seeing, you think there's a line that you just can't cross. You know what I'm saying? You just think, well, there's a limit where all of us can agree this is not cool. And it didn't happen with children being essentially orphaned by force by the government. I'm laughing because it's so awful. And then you have like the whole Kavanaugh thing with women standing up and being assaulted, and essentially part of the nation being like, doesn't matter. And half of politicians being like, yeah, well, we believe it, but we don't believe you. It's my sense of justice. And I guess I'm a paladin in my heart. So I guess I have a lot of feelings about this. And I think this journalist, I don't want to be a downer. You guys will read it. It's horrible what happened to this man who was an amazing paladin of a journalist. And then we have literally our leaders are like, and they're going to get away with it. We're all so tired. We're all so tired and helpless. And I'm like, I don't want to get on Twitter and it's just talk. I guess, you know what I understand? You guys ever see like CBS News, and they have that Steve Harvey guy, and he's like, derpy derp, I'm going to go to Kansas, and I'm going to see a woman who knits with her cat hair. And I'm like, oh, Steve Harvey, you're so earnest. And he's always like saying, it's always this feel-good thing about, an underdog baseball team that gets, none of them have clothes, and somebody gives them clothes. I don't know. But you know what? You have to have a little bit of that because... And here's the thing also. I'm sorry, I'm digressing a lot, but I have a lot to say, I guess. After 2 weeks, I got a lot to say. I finished my book, my Montaigne, his biography, the Montaigne, from Michel Montaigne. And he lived in the 1500s, guys. So this is a long time ago. And what I love about the biography was great. It makes me want to go read his essays again because... like I said last week, it really makes you feel like everybody's just the same. No matter when they're living, we're all the same, guys. They have issues with their girlfriend. They're late to work, they literally are the same. And I love that. I realize I love things like that make me feel like we're all universal. The human condition is universal. We just have different ways of walking. There's this video that was viral on Facebook recently, and it was footage from like the late 19th century of New York City. And you just see people walking along. People are walking their dogs. They're all dead, guys. Everybody's dead. Everybody we're looking at is dead. And yet they're just going about their daily lives. Like one of them needed to go to the store to get a hat. One of them has, bills to pay. One of them has a naggy boyfriend, like they all have their issues that are exactly the same as us. Some of the circumstances are different, but we could all be plopped in whatever era, and all the humans would behave pretty much the same. Except, Montaigne was like, well, it's pretty depressing what's going on, like the St. Bartholomew's massacre, where people are literally dragging people out of their houses, and raping and killing, and, just indiscriminately because of their religion. And the Pope's like, it's cool. So I guess we don't fear being, in a general sense, being wiped out by plague. Like, Bob died of the, I guess people do die of the flu, but in a very common way, like a third of the population would just die every couple of years, right? And you'd have to deal with that as an everyday fact. So I guess maybe social media just brings the horrors of the world to our doorstep in just such en masse all the time. It's just too much for us to comprehend, because if somebody back then was like, well, somebody one town over, in one town over, 50% of the population is dead of the plague, and people are eating cats and dogs and babies. I mean, that's really, if you read history, there is some awful stuff that happened. People are awful. Humans can be so awful, and yet they can be so wonderful too. So I don't know. I don't know how to protect myself, because I want to be an advocate, but I have to be mentally healthy to create things. And I think if I create something that means something to me, maybe that will spread, I guess, my moral compass to other people, and it will spread. Although I guess if we're told good prevails, and right now we're in a moment where darkness is definitely, Sauron got the ring, guys. I don't know. That's my opinion. I don't want to talk too much about politics, but I don't know. It's not like it's not like my positions are a mystery to you. So anyway, I guess the long story short is I really feel like I have to be a little more careful about myself and what I consume and when I consume it. So I can't look online after bedtime. I just can't even look online. I could watch a cooking show and that's it. Or a video or whatever. That's all. I'm cut off. Cut off. I like my Discord channel. If you guys aren't on there, it is open. So it is it is discord.gg/Felicia Day. Is that right? I'm just discord.gg.-Felicia Day. That's right. I'm testing it currently. It is correct. Join in. There are 4,000 people over there, guys. There's 1,000 online. They're not all in the same chat. It's not crazy. I've tweeted. I've spread word. It's really cool. And I have my custom URL now. So please join in. It's really fun. The community is really great. Every time I pop in there and chat, like people are really having a good time. And there's lots of subgroups you can talk about different things. Okay. So conclusion of that whole story is that I finally came home and I slept Sunday night. And I feel like a new person. In the last couple of days, I've gotten actual good sleep. But I think I was anxious about traveling. And I think it was probably getting away from the baby. And it's super hard, guys. All I can tell you is that I knew nothing about parenting before I had a baby. And I wish I had known anything. But I guess you can't know until you do it. It's like, riding a bike. Or, I don't know. Something like that. All right. Well, I played a lot of Star Realms on the iPhone because I actually had iPhone fun time. And because my brain was so blown from lack of sleep, I was like, well, I'm just going to allow you to play as much iPhone game as you want. So Star Realms on the iPhone is one of my favorite board game ports. It's not really a board game, it's a card game, but it's so strategic and really hard. It's very challenging, and I love it so much. I really do, you guys. I would play Hearthstone more on my phone, but it requires you to be online to play, which is not good on a plane because I'm not going to play to pay it. That sounds crazy. And so Star Realms is really good. It scratches that sort of Magic the Gathering itch, and it's actually quite difficult. I also played a ton of Guild of Dungeoneering, which I had played on the desktop a little bit, but it's actually more fun on the iPhone because I think it's just one of those games is better if you're like just somewhere and you can play a little bit versus like sitting down. Some indie games are great, and then 15 minutes later, you're like, I'm done. But then you can play them for an hour on your iPhone. That's kind of what Guild of Dungeoneering is. It would be amazing on the Switch. Also, I got a new iPhone. I got an iPhone XS, and playing games on it, I really want a Max, but I'm like, I can't. I already have one. You can't return it. Too bad. I also consumed a bunch of stuff this week as far as, well, the book. I finished that book finally, and I'm going to move on to something else. Nonfiction, because again, when I read a stimulating fiction book, I get so caught up in it, and then I can't sleep for all night. Or maybe my anxiety picks that up, and if I'm not being anxious, I can read before bed. I don't know. I don't want to risk it, guys. I'm finally sleeping. I also watched the Doctor Who episodes 1 and 2, and I actually tweeted about this, and then I just deleted it because I couldn't. Okay, first of all, I have a vow to just not trash other people's work because I know how hard it is to make anything. It's hard enough to get anything on air, much less do it well, much less do it great. And I, by no means did I think that the new Doctor Who, the first 2 episodes that I've seen, are bad in any respect. I think they're really good. I enjoy them a lot. They're really well executed. I enjoy her companions. You know, they're just getting started. I love the new Doctor Who actress. I just was picking up, and what I tweeted was like, I think that new episodes are great, but I feel like maybe this Doctor Who is not quippy or witty, and she's apologetic in a way, and more emotional in a, and not in, I don't think being emotional is necessarily weak. In fact, I think it's strong to be able to express your emotions. Like that means you're a stronger person, you're brave to be able to let all those things out. And that's something I've had to teach myself over my years. But I do think that there was a self-assuredness to the Doctor, the quality that like I've seen a lot and I know a lot, and you're going to get on bad. Maybe I'm just used to Peter Capaldi, and because he was a very brisk, like, oh, this is not going to put me down. I have the solution. Don't get down, let's move on. And I have something on my sleeve. And even when I'm confounded, I'm going to be confident about it. And I feel like that, to me, that was almost a universal for Doctor Who, but maybe I have selective memory, and maybe I'm just remembering Capaldi. So anyway, I was like, does it feel like she's written more like a quote unquote woman? Because I think that men, when they write women characters, often they will bring a preconceived notion to something. I am going to give you an example. I apologize if I've talked about this before, but there was a pilot that got made into a TV show that was quickly canceled that I was intrigued about the premise, and I had read the script. I was going to go in and audition for it, and I read the script, and I was not excited about it in the way that I thought the premise was going to serve. And when I was reading the script, it was about a woman in a strange situation and her kind of like living with that situation. I can't get any more specific because then people anyway. And so I read this and I was like, hey, this is a funny idea. There's some funny characters in here. The guy lead is the most interesting person in the script, but the woman there's no character here. I don't know how to play this character. I didn't even want to go in an audition, but I did anyway. Because on the page, I don't get a sense of a person here. I feel like she's a jumble of ideas. And I called my manager and I was like, hey, can I just ask you something? Was this part written for a man before? And he was like, yeah, how did you know? And I was like, can you send me that script? I'm just curious. I would like to read the version with the man in the lead. I read that other script. Guys, it was so funny. And you know why it was funny? Because the guy character was a buffoon. He was a screw-up. He played rock band. He was late to work. He subsisted on pizza. He was a guy who refused to grow up. And, that supported the premise of the TV show a lot. But evidently, I found this out later, the network made them change the lead character to a woman. Now, what they should have done, in my opinion, is to just cast a woman and let her be a screw-up who plays rock band, who is dirty with pizza all the time, who is late to work, who will not grow up and is immature. No, they made her a marketing person who's in charge of people and wears tight skirts and, has a complicated crush on someone. And the only character that was interesting after that was the guy love interest of hers who kind of took some of those, who was just more interesting as a character. He was a real character, and she was not a character. She was an idea. She was like, this is what I think a woman should be. I'm going to put her in that versus an actual woman writing it. Now, I'm not saying men can't write women or women can't write men. I am saying that sometimes, in particular, in my opinion, with comedies especially, when you have a guy, I could see a little bit more, but that's just me. I don't make generalizations about writing. I just like make it real. And I guess the story was behind the scenes that some of the people behind the scenes did not want to make it a woman, and they were mad about it. And you could kind of tell there was not a real character there. And the show got picked up and then quickly canceled because nobody watched it. Because why? Because the lead character wasn't that interesting. So I guess I'm a little overly sensitive to that. And so I guess I just wanted my quippy, confident doctor. And I was seeing a little sniffs of that. And I tweeted about it. And then some people were very like, I agree. She apologized 17 times. And, and I didn't even count it. I guess people are taking count. And a lot of other people were like, I don't agree with you. I see that a lot of doctors, when they manifest into a new body, are unsure and they're on the fence about things and more emotional. And like that was an interesting perspective too. But then I got all these like SJW things and all these like, how dare you? I got a lot of people crawling on my butthole about it. And so I deleted the tweet because I'm like, well, I feel bad about criticizing someone who is just starting a new series and they're all doing a great job and I'm enjoying the show. So I felt guilty about that and paranoid that somebody associated with the show would see it. And then, more than that, I just couldn't deal with the negativity. And I'm not saying that that's good, because I should be able to withstand like a dozen people saying, hey, you're wrong. It just, I don't know. I guess I'm an overly sensitive thing. So basically, I'm off Twitter for a while. I'll go on for, if I have something funny to say, but I'm not going to browse there. What was the point? Oh, so I watched a couple other TV shows this week. The Curious Creations of Christine McConnell. If you guys have Netflix, these are both shows on Netflix that I watched. I finished British Baking Show, and then I watched Curious Creations of Christine McConnell. It's this crazy show, you guys. It's like a food decorating show / puppet sketch show. And I don't know if it works. It's really, like, the first episode felt like it was 2 hours long and it was only a half hour. But the things she makes are amazing. And the puppets are really just weird, and I love how weird it is. And the funny thing is, it makes me laugh, and I don't know if this is deliberate or not, but she'll show the most insane, like, 5-foot cake that's been decorated like a haunted house with eyeballs and fangs in it. And it's like, I'm not kidding, it's 3 feet tall. And she'll be like, just put it in the fridge. I'm like, what fridge do you have that can hold a cake this big? Also, they will just jump forward in the construction. So you're like, so we'll go from just a flat sheet cake, and then our next step is putting on the icing. I'm like, what? Where did the 15 steps in the middle and the 7 hours of decorating come from? I mean, literally, there's like individual tiles on the roof that probably take an hour each section to do. And suddenly we just go like, time lapse. It's so unrealistic. And then she always has an airbrush. So like, it's the most elaborate work to make like a pretzel. I love it. The things she makes are incredible. She's awesome. I love the puppets. It goes on forever because they cut so much of the process out. She has to make like 7 things in a half hour. It's just really, I don't know. I was just sitting there like, who the hell has time to make this detailed a hedgehog Rice Krispies treat? I would love to do an after show of that show where I try to make what she made in the time that she makes it. It literally just be like, I don't know if I recommend it or not, but I'm certainly going to watch more, okay? So I guess I do recommend it. I don't know. I'm certainly not going to make any of it. What else? Oh, I did. One other thing before I get into a couple questions. One other thing that I finally accomplished this week was the makeover of my living room. Hey! The credenza from CB2, the horrible nightmare of a thing, which, by the way, they sent me this really nice pack for Calliope. They sent me a little dinosaur chair and a couple of little dinosaur toys. She loves it more than anything, so it turned out to be great, and all the people over the customer service were awesome. Jacqueline, giving you a shout out. So that turned out to be really nice in the space, and then I didn't end up replacing all the furniture that I budgeted for. I kept the coffee table. I just kind of redid the top, and I didn't change the sideboard. I did get a new rug. I finally got that in, and then I got like a little side table from Pier 1 that was on half price. Woohoo! And that looks really good. And then I got a new entryway piece of furniture that was on Crate & Barrel Kids, but because it was like a dark stained wood, it looked nice enough for the living room, and that was on half price too. So I budgeted it out, you guys. The only thing that was kind of expensive was the rug, but it was so pretty, and it transformed the room so beautifully. And if anybody even drips anything on it, I will pluck every nose hair out of their nose individually, slowly, and then I will shave them with a butter knife. So it'll be a lot of hair removal in painful waves. So don't drip on my rug, okay? That's the moral of the story. Great. So let's do a couple questions. Danica Vargas says, hey, Felicia, felicitations. Hey, Felicia, I'm pregnant. Just found out. First baby, very nervous. You gave me some book and breast advice, but would you give me some tips on items that are lifesaver and what you consider a waste of money? Thank you. Okay. Oh. Last time, actually, I wanted to address this. I answered a question about fertility, and I don't remember what I said to be specific, but I got one tweet that actually made me think again, and I wanted to apologize on the air for not considering or maybe speaking in a way that would not be considerate to people who are not able to conceive a child, even if they were trying. And I certainly didn't mean that, but if that was a byproduct, I'm trying to apologize in a right way versus like, I'm sorry you felt. No, I'm sorry that I was not considerate in taking that into account in my first answer. I have many friends who are in the same boat where they've tried everything and they could not conceive their own child. I have seen how emotionally hard this is to deal with, and my heart goes out to anybody in those circumstances. And, like I said, one of my friends who's much younger than me went in and tried to freeze her eggs, and she actually turned out she did not have any eggs left at a very young age, in her very early 30s. And that was a big, very hard adjustment for her to kind of come to terms much earlier than you would expect that she could never have her own child in that way. But biological child, because she can have her own child. And that's kind of what she came around to. I have another one of my very, very good friends was the same way. She tried everything. She did IVF. It did not work. They did an open adoption of a baby, and they have a baby where the mother can be involved in the child's life, which I think is amazing, and I wasn't aware of before that. So I apologize for being insensitive and not including that in my answer, or considering that aspect in my answer. Okay. Anyway, back to Danica. So basically, it's incredible how many things that people tell you to buy, and you're going to use almost all of it. Babies are a time sink. They are a money sink, and everyone will tell you what to get, and they probably will use it. One thing I didn't use was the nose Frida, which was this thing where you suck snot out of the baby's nose through your mouth. Didn't use it. Didn't use that other thing where you put it up their butt and it's like a little whistle and it makes them fart. Didn't use it. What I did find to be most helpful was this carrier called Nesting Days. And I get no kickback, guys, no kickback at all. But I was very much wanting my baby to be close to me. And there are 1.5 million carriers. But the only one that I felt comfortable with early on, when they're really squishy and they don't know how to lift their head up. And so a lot of these carriers are very bulky, or they're not soft, or they're complicated. So the soft ones are like a boba wrap, which is great, except it took me months to figure out how to use it. And I was just like, let me get rid of this. But it was a hand-me-down, so it was okay. So I use my, there's an Ergo wrap that's really nice. But a lot of them have a Tula, which is what I had as well. They're just kind of thick canvas to carry the baby in, which is great when they're older and sturdier, but when they're young and squishy, you don't want to do that with the baby. So this thing called the nesting days is amazing. It's like basically you pull on a dress and then you tuck the baby in and you just tie it on the shoulder and then the baby is in. Completely secure. It's like a stretchy Lycra, so it's comfy for you and the baby, and it's easy to kind of position so their face can be fully out. And it holds your stomach in as you are going through the hardest 6 months of your life. The thing actually, you outgrow it in about 5 or 6 months, depending on how the baby is. So it is a $90 investment that you can only use for several months. But of all the things that I had, that's the one thing I buy every single person I know who has a baby. I will get them something off their registry, and then I will get them that thing, because to me, to pay that forward, that experience forward. And I just got a note from one of my friends who had a baby, and I sent her one, and she was like, this is amazing. It's so much easier than the other ones. You just pull it on like a dress. She loves it. And it's so soft and squishy that the baby, you feel like the baby, who's very sensitive and young and tiny and, I don't know, scrawny, they are not going to be harmed by it. So, and once they're like 4 or 5, 6 months, you could put them in the more sturdy carrier that you have. That was just me. So that would be the one thing that I would be like, hey, I know it's expensive in a world of you need expensive things. Go ahead and get it if you can. I would say the biggest waste of money I did was on clothes. I mean, they will go through the clothes so fast. I swear, if I ever had another baby, which I will not, I'm pretty sure, but I would basically get like Carter's white t-shirts and just put them on them. And then maybe like one special outfit in every single size. Other than that, they can wear trash, man. They can just wear a trash bag. Yeah. Also, the sound machine. I have a little sound machine that's a portable sound machine. I also have an Amazon baby list. And if you want to go check it, there's lots of books and feeding and all sorts of things on there. You don't have to buy it from Amazon. I just list it there because it's easy. But it's amazon.com/shop/Felicia Day. And I list a bunch of things there. Actually, I need to update it. And I guess for breastfeeding, I got these flaxseed things you could put in the microwave and heat up and put on your boobs when they get clogged. Or you can put them in the freezer and they get cold and you can put them on your boobs. Basically, there's so many boob issues when you're first pregnant and you're trying to get your breastfeeding to work. Anything that will help there. So I had like some cold packs that were made for boobies, and then the flaxseed ones that I can heat up and put in there. And those two were lifesavers. So I think those are the best things. And baby wrinkle paper. It's like $5 and it goes crinkle, 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 and it's covered in fabric. They love it. It's like, whoa, blowing my baby mind. All right, great. Too much baby stuff this time. I'm going to talk more about video game sex time. Guys. Oh, wow. I can't wait to tell you about this thing. I got a care package from Ubisoft around Assassin's Creed, which came out last week, which I'm going to try to stream on Sunday night this week. But they sent me, not only did I get a spear and a limited edition shield, but they sent me, and a code for the game, of course. But they sent me, and inside the box was those two things, and then a crate that says Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Alexios, like an Alexa. And you open it up, guys. I have to take a picture of it because it's so amazing. You open it up, and there is a thing inside. I'm opening it currently right here. It is so beautiful. It looks like a Spartan helmet, and it's called, it's an Alexis, but it's a branded Alexis. Like, I don't even have one. I'm not going to have one in my house. I put it in my outer office because I don't trust Alexa not to listen to everything I say. Anyway. Questions to add. Greetings. Ubisoft is proud to present you with Alexios, the world's first Spartan smart assistant, designed for use in the real world as well as in-game world of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They will guide you and encourage you until you have the stoic steel demeanor of a Spartan warrior. Set this device up with the instructions enclosed and awaken the great warrior Alexios by saying, Alexa, open the Spartan. From there, you may ask him anything of a standard Amazon Echo device, and Alexia will happily help. Isn't this incredible? It's so cool, you guys. Questions to ask Alexios. I can't even say anything. Alexios is programmed to answer hundreds of questions to help around the home. Here's a sampling of all you can ask it. Tell me a bedtime story. What is Sparta like? Order Chinese food. What's on the calendar? Play Greek music. In-game, Alexios is also programmed to guide you through the treacherous lands of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Let him regale you with stories of ancient Greece's mythological origins and insider facts about locations you'll find on the journey. If you have an Alexa, simply ask him, what is the Tomb of Orion? Isn't this incredible? So I'm going to plug it in and try to play and ask it some questions when I'm playing on Sunday. That's the theory, if I get around to installing it. But it might be the best gift that I've ever had. Thanks, Ubisoft. Not sponsored by, but given free things by. Okay, let's see. What am I going to do? Okay, my last question, because we're really running long right now. Rixith asks, I'm going to LA in November, flying in from Sweden. Guten Tag. That's not Swedish. What kind of things can you recommend to do there? Well, this question was in September, so sorry, Rithix. I will tell you what I would not recommend. Okay. Oh, it's really hard. I mean, listen, I think that whenever you live in a city, you're going to be like, don't go there because that's just a tourist trap. Okay, yes. Hollywood Boulevard is the worst place I've ever been in my life. The few times I've had to go there for a premiere, it's a little bit nicer. But in general, I feel so sorry for the tourists who go to Hollywood Boulevard and are looking for something for Hollywood there. It ain't there. There is no Hollywood in Hollywood. That is the irony. There's some studios near there, but Hollywood Boulevard is the dregs. There's nothing good there. And if you went there and saw it, I don't know, maybe it's the seedy representation of the underbelly of Hollywood. Maybe it is actually Hollywood because it is so gross. It feels it's like one of the most. I am comfortable going pretty much anywhere in LA except Hollywood Boulevard. It's like, it's so seedy, and there's all these buskers there but they're like seedy buskers, and then everything's dirty, and everyone's a tour. I don't know. It's just bad, you guys. I would recommend going to Disneyland. I would recommend going to Universal City Walk, even though I think that's totally lame as somebody who's been there a lot. If I had never been there, I would have been like, yeah, it's great. Do the Universal backlot tour. Those are great because you can actually see how a lot is run. It's not that glamorous. But then seeing that it's not that glamorous is kind of glamorous. I don't know. I would definitely try to go to a sitcom taping. You can get tickets through various means. They're always looking for audience. It's a good time of year to be in the audience because things are taping right now. I think that's super important because you can, where else are you going to see any of that happen? I really love Santa Monica and Abbot Kinney. Abbot Kinney is like this really hipster block with amazing food. Justina is one of my favorite restaurants in town, and it's in Abbot Kinney. It's in Venice. It's a place where men pay $400 for like a lumberjack shirt. It's kind of douchey, but it's very Hollywood. Like that's more Hollywood than anything in Hollywood, to be honest with you. I also love the Grove. That's a great place because they have like the farmer's market and there's a mall behind it. So if you like shopping, Century City Mall is amazing. They just redid the whole thing. And downtown, I would go to Grand Central Market. I would take that tram thing that goes up and down the hill. That's super fun. If you can get a tour of the Bradbury Building, that's amazing. And Chinatown is really, really great now. There's a lot of other good food downtown that's like that. I don't know. There's there's some farms there you can go like pick apples and stuff, which I think are super fun. And I mean, it's one of those cities where you kind of have to know where to go, but it's so big. You need a car. Like you definitely need a car, but you kind of make what you want out of LA. That's what I kind of like. People can remake themselves or make themselves from scratch in LA, and you're exposed to every single culture and every single background. There's Chinatown, there's Thai town, there's Filipino town, there's Little Russia, there's a lot of like ethnic neighborhoods that really represent the gamut of pretty much everything, and you can really be educated and immersed in a culture, and then 2 blocks later you're back in LA. Or you're in LA in the middle of the little Ethiopia. Like there's some really cool like nuggets. That's what I love about LA. I can't imagine living in a place where I wasn't exposed to other cultures every day. Just too boring. Too boring. All right, you guys. Well, join the Discord. The Discord is discord.gg/Felicia Day. It is free. And we'd love to see you over there. Please like and subscribe to my podcast if you like it. It's on iTunes. I have not done the migration to Libsyn yet, but I'm going to do that this week. It is on my to-do list, you guys. Of course, there's a lot to do on my to-do list. I'll get to it. It is on my list. So I will see you guys online and see you maybe on the stream on the weekend. Okay, bye.